What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Capes on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host this evening. To my left, we've got Brock.
What's up?
And been a while since we've seen this guy here. We have the director, Josh Lozano.
How's it going?
Pretty good, because we are talking about the latest DC movie, Blue Beetle. Now, Brock and I did our own review on his channel, but because I know that Josh is a huge Blue Beetle fan, I will.
He hasn't mentioned it, so we had to really ask him if he thought he was going to watch it. So,
I'm gonna go right ahead and just give you the floor for a minute. So,
Okay.
what'd you think?
Okay, well, first things first, because I realize that we're kind of in this very precarious situation with like the greater Hollywood landscape and everything like that. So I want to make it abundantly clear that this is purely me just kind of giving my overall opinion. I am not trying to like scab in any way or anything like that. And I am a staunch supporter of the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild strikes that are going on. As of right now, I believe it's 104 days or 107 for the writers, and not like maybe like 20 days or so for the actors.
Ish, maybe a little more.
And there is like a conversation to be had about like what's going on with this movie in particular surrounding all of this stuff that maybe we could get into in a bit. But for now, as someone who wants to break into the film industry and as someone who values the art of storytelling above all else, pay your fucking writers, pay your actors, give them a livable wage. They're not all Tom Cruise. Some of them are just like a guy that you see in the background and they make pennies. So like, or in some cases less than pennies. I mean, have you seen the Robert Carradine pay stub for his residuals for Lizzie McGuire?
Yep. Sending someone literally no money.
And
it
then
cost them to pay him.
And then saying it expires. So
unreal.
This movie had with all that said, this movie was very, very, very bittersweet for me before going in, because Blue Beetle is quite literally my favorite fictional character of all time. And for a long time, I wanted to make a film about him, and to the point that I had even written a screenplay. And I held on to it for a long time, wanting to make it. And then the announcements came in. It's like, fuck. And then the whole shift between whether or not it would be an HBO Max exclusive. I don't care that it's Max. I'm going to call it HBO Max because it sounds better, and it was better. And then it got shifted over to theatrical, and then more things started to come out about the movie. And I'm not going to lie, I was incredibly worried just hearing that the director and the writer of the film in particular were inspired by probably my least favorite run of Blue Beetle, which is the New 52 run, which the less said about that, the better. And just the fact that it wasn't even going to be set in El Paso really disheartened me, because we still, for better or worse, have that stigma in our city, just kind of being seen as the gateway for the hellscape that is Juarez, Mexico. And we still have a reputation of being, cartel members and gangsters and gangbangers and low lives. And especially with what's going on in the news right now with migrants crossing over, they're constantly painting all of us as just like criminals and scumbags and illegals and everything. And it's, having that bit of El Paso pride taken away from us was very, very upsetting. And I'm not going to lie, the trailers initially didn't even give me that much hope. I was very critical of the very first trailer in particular. I thought that it kind of looked very rough around the edges. So, with all that, I have to show you guys Literally, the day before I went to the theater, I went to my local Target, which is right next door to me, and I got some things. I got a little Jaime Reyes
Oh, dang, nice.
Funko Pop here to
Nice.
commemorate, and then on top of that, I have my Brave and the Bold action figure as well as my Blue Beetle action
Gosh,
figure.
that's amazing.
That's cool.
And
He's holding his son.
it's funny too because when we went to the theater, my sister-in-law Catherine Emily Gillum, and yes, I'm going to call her out in particular. Um, we went to the theater, and the second I gave her and my brother-in-law Christian Gillum some Funko Pops, we had them sit down with us in the movie and watch them with the movie, like Andy in Toy Story. Catherine immediately gravitated towards the Brave and the Bold Blue Beetle and grabbed the bigger Blue Beetle and just immediately went, "Papa!"
Oh my gosh.
That's adorable.
She's a gremlin, and
That's fantastic.
I can finally say, after having watched it, I love this movie.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
I'm honest to God so thrilled with this movie and how good it was. It kind of left me stunned afterwards. Like I said, I went in with the lowest possible expectations just as an El Pasoan, and I felt the most joy with something like this in a hot minute.
Good. So I tell you, I don't hear from you often. So it's like after the movie, like people are seeing it on Thursday. I'm like looking at Facebook, looking at Twitter. I'm like, is he not responding because he hasn't seen it or what's
That was mostly like, because I saw it on my birthday as well. It was one of those perfect storm things where on top
Wow.
of that, they had screenings on my birthday, and on top of that, and I can even show this too. I picked this up from work. We have a gas station nearby. I bought the recent issue or recent thing of the El Paso Times, and you can see it here and there. Beatlemania kind of took over El Paso.
Awesome.
That's my
Nice.
childhood movie theater
Nice.
that I used to go to.
That's amazing.
And when you go in, there's even, in addition to the mural outside, they had the Blue Beetle costume like on display in the center of the theater. And they had like a little like thing that's kind of like a blue carpet where you could take pictures and
Awesome.
all that. So
Nice.
literally I felt buttered up and I felt fully embraced. And part of why I didn't respond a lot was, turning 25, you have that quarter life blues.
You're whoa, hold on. I thought you were older than me.
What?
I thought you were like a year or two older than me. Boom. Okay. All right. Never mind. Gosh dang, I'm so bad at telling people's ages. It is atrocious.
Hey, if anything, that just makes me feel a little bit like better because sometimes I worry that I come off as like a total like goblin or something like that.
No, keep in mind, I'm 32, so I thought you were like 33, 34. And you tell me you're
Oh.
25, I'm like, what?
Whoa.
Did you not think I was 32?
All the minds are being blown tonight.
I thought you were like 28, truth be told.
All right. I'm looking okay. I look a lot older if I take this hat off. I'll just let you know that right now. Genetics are great.
Oh man.
So you know what? I want to open up with this, the fact that this movie takes place in a fictional city, Palmyra City. And I believe it was the director who confirmed that basically the reason they changed it from El Paso to Palmyra is to give the Blue Beetle his own, his own metropolis or Gotham City. Now that you've seen the movie, Josh, how do you feel about that?
Now that I've seen the movie, I'll admit there is still that little part of me that's kind of just a little bit still shaken by that, but at the same time, it, they really did do a really good job of being a melting pot of just Hispanic and Latino culture in Palmera City. And it has to be noted as well that I still haven't read the run. Surprisingly, I've been a little behind on this because I didn't expect Blue Beetle to blow up so big. But I know that they've introduced Palmera City in the latest Blue Beetle run, in particular Blue Beetle Graduation Day by
I've
Josh Trujillo and what's the artist's name? Adrian Gutierrez.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about Graduation Day from, a lot of my friends who've read it, probably in anticipation for the movie.
And that makes me so happy. And especially the fact that I barely found out about it on my birthday, but because of the reception of Graduation Day, there's actually a new ongoing Blue Beetle series for DC right now by the same team, by
Nice.
Josh Trujillo and Adrian Gutierrez. And for fans that are like me, they're bringing back Tracy 13. So, like, but no, with what they did with Palmera City and with Jaime's place and all of it, it really did feel genuinely natural. And on top of that, again, the little nod to them living on El Paso Street, which
Okay,
you
yep.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got me with that, Angel Manuel Soto. You got me with that. And on top of that, just the way that they built the community around their street too. It was very slight, and it could have maybe been expanded on just a little bit more, but it felt like home. And then on top of that, there was even a little bit in the fight outside of Cord Industries with Carapax. It felt like they used a little bit of El Paso downtown as well. I looked while the fight was happening, I looked in the background and they actually had the Plaza Hotel that we have here in town in the background, like on display.
Nice.
And when Rudy is driving away with Jaime and Jenny and the taco, it looked like the spaghetti bowl that we have here and I-10, which is our highway. They
Nice.
they did a really good job of making it feel like a genuine real city and even showing some of the classism too, which I'm not gonna lie, the broader themes that they brought into Blue Beetle, it stunned me, and I didn't think that they would actually get to go this far with the movie.
Yeah, the more I think about some of those, like, you know, more heavier themes in the film, the more I tend to just really love this movie. And yeah, I would go as far as to say, as an origin story, I would stack this right up here with Batman Begins, the first Shazam, um, Miss Marvel. Like, specifically when it comes to like fleshing out the family as well as the superheroics, I think Miss Marvel is the closest stylistic comparison.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And one thing that I can't believe I'm saying this, but if I had a nickel for every time a young superhero origin story had a random needle drop of Be My Baby just plopped it, I would have 2 nickels, which is weird, which isn't bad, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Nice. We were talking about that, about music drops, and I'm like, I'm loving that in the year of our Lord 2023, that we've gotten away from the last decade of every single main action, typically comic book or I want to say pop media, whatever that they've done, has to have this banging rock music and all that to get the kids going. We got Transformers that had Biggie and other New York related rap going on. We got a good smattering of rap and TMNT, and my pasty white ass losing his fucking mind when Cypress Hill hit in the middle of that movie.
Ah, that that hallway fight, like that that goes to show like the marketing too, because when I saw the hallway fight, like in the trailers, they really didn't do like the action bits in the movie justice because
No.
oh my god, like that. I'll say this for me. that hallway fight is probably up there with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's hallway fight from
Yes.
this year.
Mm-hmm.
And both set to really great like rap music.
Speaking of rap, I forgot No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
But before we get too far into like the climax of this movie, I want to back up to the family. So I'm gonna ask both of you, favorite member of Jaime's family?
Okay, so I'll get this out of the way. Depending, and I said this in my review, and this is because you hired this actor to do this, and I understand why you did it. Depending on the minute that he was on screen, I either wanted to hug George Lopez or kick him clean the nuts to get him to shut up. He's very much that actor. So there was points where they had him be way too much in a good way and too much in a bad way. But he was awesome. The grandma. Grandma was a sleeper hit of that entire family.
I would have to agree with that. Josh, what about you? See, because with all the members of the family, I felt seen because it felt like my family. I'll admit, I'm gonna be the weird one in that way because he was probably one of my favorite characters in the comics. But I really loved what was it, Damien? Oh my god, I should have prepared with that. But
It's all good.
The actor who played Jaime's father, Alberto Reyes, it was he was the one that caught me off guard. Damien Alcazar.
He was really good.
Yeah, he had that perfect mixture that I saw in the comics where he was very, stoic when he needed to be, but he also had that warm fatherly feel to him that just when you see him on screen every time you could just disarm yourself. And especially that scene right where he's just sitting on the porch with Jaime at night. That was so beautiful. But if I'm going to be honest, and it's just the movie hitting all the right spots for me. Uncle Rudy, man, Theo Rudy, I grew up watching the George Lopez show here. So
oh yeah,
from a very early childhood, like from very early in my life, like whenever I hear Lowrider, I only see George Lopez jumping on the trampoline with the palm trees in the background. So it's like, and he reminded me so much of my grandpa, God rest in peace. And oh my God, even at the points where I thought like, all right, you got to dial it back a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, no, I know exactly this kind of person in my life, even outside of my grandpa. I have a lot of coworkers that reminded me of him too.
Yeah, I've
nice.
I think we've all met that person at least once in our life.
Real quick shout out with the grandma. At the trailers, that was one of the things I was again cringing because I'll admit there's a part of me that's like the trope of the old grandma that's actually a badass, this and that, especially with Mexican and Hispanic media. Like, you had the stuff like with Mama Coco with the chancla and everything like that. It's like, okay. But again, it's like the movie was like, hey, Josh, every single gripe that you have, we know exactly how to butter you up. And that scene where she's watching the TV and they have El Chapulín and then they show a little bit of Guillermo del Toro's Kronos.
Nice.
It was like, okay, no, these people know exactly what they're doing with this movie too. And that,
Just to give a shout out to the actress who plays Nana, that's Adriana Barraza.
Yeah, she was in wasn't she in Amores Perros?
Give me 2 seconds and I'll confirm that.
Because I don't know if she's seen as like an icon down here in town, but I've seen her at least like a handful of times, and every time I see her on screen, it's like, oh, it's you.
Absolutely. So got one of those faces. But yeah, the whole that's one thing I wanted to ask you. Now we're on the subject of the family. because again, like outside of like Injustice and Young Justice, I really don't know that much about Blue Beetle. Which I know I talked with Mike about this. They took inspiration from the Young Justice or Injustice fighting game and gave him moves straight clean out of that, which were
Oh
great.
yeah,
But
they look fucking awesome.
they did. Does he typically normally lose a family member, or is that a choice, or is all of them normally around?
So that's the thing. Like he doesn't in the comics, from what I've read, he doesn't typically lose anybody, truth be told. But there is this running motif in all of his runs that I've seen, just this loss of time or loss of a connection. And one thing that really struck me is that, in the comic, like they have the thing, like they set it up in the movie with Alberto, how he had the heart attack
Yeah.
before, like while Jaime was out in college. In the books, since Jaime was out in space and basically lost a whole year of his life due to some wibbly wobbly, tiny, whiny shit in Infinite Crisis, when he comes back, he has a limp because he got shot covering for his coworker at the body shop that he works at, because his coworker Luis, like, he was constantly late and everything, and he owed money to the wrong people. And one time they went to his workplace to try and strong arm him into paying him off, but Alberto covered for him just so that way Luis would be all right, and he got shot.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
So so like there's not really like any sense of loss in that word, like anyone straight up died as far as I know. But I think the closest comparison is maybe later in the Geffen Rogers Hamner Albuquerque run, where, if I remember correctly, he had two friends that he made in his tenure as Blue Beetle early on, and they were basically like his guys in the seat. They
Okay.
would overlook like the towns and everything like that, scan out for like metahuman activity. And if I remember, when the Reach invaded, one of them died, and the other one took it very, very hard and had a personal grudge with Jaime and became the Black Beetle.
Mm.
Now,
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, in that run, that's one of the few things I don't like about that I'll say Young Justice did really well, which is I love that take on Black Beetle. But that's like the closest thing that I could see that was like a death that Jaime had to suffer from.
Okay.
So seeing what they did with his father was, as a fan, it genuinely excited me. Like, oh, okay, they're moving away from this. They're adding some stuff. Okay, okay, I see you.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, I felt it was a nice touch to really sort of kind of emphasize the relationship that Jaime has with his father. And speaking of loss of time, normally in the comics, Jaime is depicted as like a high schooler. How'd you feel about him? A um, graduating from college, and B graduating from Gotham Law.
Okay, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, the
That's
sweatshirt said Gotham Law on the back of it.
oh, that's a cool detail. That
Yeah.
okay.
I want that sweatshirt so damn bad.
Same.
I want that sweatshirt too. Oh man.
Yeah.
See, I was worried that by him being a college student, they would take away from kind of the youthfulness that, I think is pretty commonly seen in Blue Beetle. It's, for my money, it's a bit kind of like if you were to take Peter Parker and have his first movie basically be all the college stuff and not even touch on the high school stuff. But at the same time, I think the way that they handled it was very well done and a very universal experience for a lot of people here, especially because there is a lot of expectation of trying to like be the one to kind of help get your family out of poverty, get them out of their monetary and social struggles. And when he comes back, like, it still feels with that same kind of youthful pluckiness, that kind of chip on your shoulder that you feel of like, no, I can fix this, I can fix this. And if anything, it also just kind of made him speak to me even more, considering age. And this is a character I see a lot of myself into. So again, like even the little things that I thought that I would not gel with at all, they won me over.
That's how you know a movie is doing something right when and this is also why I continually get frustrated with people. No offense, Josh, but people who will make like you know all of these massive assumptions based solely on a film's marketing without really letting the film tell its story.
I mean, look, something like this. Yeah, and especially with something like this, like they had to do a lot of heavy lifting to even try and get people to go to the movies with this one because look, as much as I love Blue Beetle and as much as I know, given the right context, you can make anything sellable. At the end of the day, Blue Beetle is still, even as much as I love him, like a C tier comic book character in terms of iconography, you know?
You're not wrong. And again, I'm trying to phrase this in a way that doesn't make me come off like the trades are. Um, it is unfortunate that because the studios refuse to pay their talent fairly, um, actors like Sholo and the rest of the cast um, are not allowed to promote this movie as they would have in like a regular year, which is unfortunate because having not watched Cobra Kai, like you don't have to understand that Sholo is a rising star.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't see anybody else as Jaime, truth be told. In town, we do have some fan films here and there of Blue Beetle. In fact, I want to give a personal shout out to, I think it's called The Scarab, which actually stars someone that I know in town. He's, I think, in LA now. You may have seen him on the, well, wait, you might not have because, they don't pay their fucking actors and they're doing tax write offs. But Damian Alonso, who is a local actor that I've actually worked with in my time in a production company. He had a minor role in a Big Shot, and he was in a Blue Beetle fan film by a
Nice.
local production company here called, I think, Desert People, called The Scarab. And he's great in it. It's great as a fan film. You know, you can have your own personal things about fan films. I'm not getting into that discussion today because we'll be here all night. But even with that, Orlo Maridueña was just so electric, and probably a more underrated thing with him in particular is that he could act with the costume. He could act with the mask.
Yeah, that's a rarity with
Mm-hmm.
costumes where you don't actually see the face. But by the way, Josh, I don't know if you know this offhand, but how guess how much this movie costs?
I think it was something like, didn't they say it was something like 120 million,
Yeah, Wikipedia has it at
give or
104
take?
million, but anywhere between 100 and 120 is accurate.
That is what you call ingenuity with your budget.
Yep.
I even brought this up when we did our earlier review, but one of the best looking movies of the 21st century is Neil Blomkamp's District 9, and that was made for only 30.
And I brought up the same
Yeah.
thing with the fact that Pacific Rim only costed 180.
That's what happens when you get like people that know how to scale back a budget and get the most bang for your buck. Now,
Exactly.
that may also be because in truth, like, to be honest, I can see that they didn't really go for a star-studded cast. I mean, obviously, if you know these names, you know them and you know that they're great. But like I want to say like the most well-known name that most people that you'd see on the street would probably recognize is, Susan Sarandon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to say it, I love Susan Sarandon, but she is not Robert Downey Jr. money.
Nope.
No.
So like, I just wanted to compare it real quick. This Blue Beetle cost at very most like $30 million more than Joker, and that is wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what?
Oh my god!
This is one of the few times where
Really,
I'm like, it was better that they spent the money in the places where they didn't need it, because they may have got names that people didn't know, but I saw them as Jamie. I'm getting the joke where he calls himself Jamie when he passes out as Jaime's family. I saw them as that. I didn't see them as these like larger than life people. I saw them as his family.
Even Lopez, like, you know, it's very clearly George Lopez, but he just like becomes Rudy.
Blake Solo, hello, by the way. I don't think your first time coming in. Nice to see you. Sorry if I didn't see your comment right away.
Like, yeah, even with that, he really, you know, he came off as Uncle Rudy first and George Lopez second, and I'll be honest, that it's easily George Lopez's best performance I've seen ever. And yes, unfortunately, Robert Rodriguez, that does include his role as Mr. Electricidad in the cinematic masterpiece Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I broke Brock.
I legit fucking forgot about that. like it was like etch-a-sketching back into existence. The more you were saying it, I was like, what the hell is he? Oh! Wow. Holy shit. Oh my. Oh god. George Lopez has an eclectic career. Let's just put it that way.
Indeed. But some of the other people who I want to give a shout out to are the actress who plays Jenny Cord. I'm gonna try not to butcher this last name. Bruna Marquezine.
Another question while we're on that subject. Josh, who have been Jaime's love interests, if he's had any, and have they ever been a cord?
I'm sorry, say that again. I think you cut off for a second.
Who has been Jaime's love interest, and have they ever been a cord?
Okay, so that's the thing, because it could be a thing in Graduation Day. I'm not sure, because I know in Graduation Day they introduced Victoria. I don't know anything about Jenny as a love interest, but I do know, as far as love interests go, they in the Geffen Rogers Hamner run, they had Tracy 13, who, if I remember correctly, was a Grant Morrison character.
Nice.
In a one shot. And the thing, she really was kind of here and there, and she is probably, in my opinion, in the comics, my favorite love interest that he's had. And they just kind of haven't been a couple for decades. And in New 52, again, one of the worst things about it, they had this really bad love triangle with him trying to get with his close friend Brenda, but also his other close friend Paco is into Brenda, and it gets a little dicey. And then at one point, as Blue Beetle, because in that one they don't know that he's Blue Beetle, he smacks her Hank Pym style to get her to back the fuck off. And yeah, trust me, New 52 was very edgy in the worst ways sometimes. And when I read the rebirth stuff, which Keith Geffen did come back for, they introduced some girl near the end that, he I don't even remember her name. That's how much of an impact she made. But no, none of them were a Cord. If anything, I think Jenny Cord did have some bearing in Jaime's life in the Geffen Rogers run, because in the pre-New 52 timeline, Ted Cord got murked by
Maxwell Lord.
Maxwell Lord. So Jaime basically had to pick up the pieces and see what he should do as a Blue Beetle, and he did come in contact with what's it called, with Ted Kord's I think daughter or granddaughter.
Okay.
In this movie, it would be his daughter, but probably in the comics something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they, like, I'll admit, having him that closely tied with Cord, it was a choice, but the longer that the movie went on and I got to know Jenny more as a character, it was like, okay, I believe this chemistry, and I'm okay with this take on Jenny Cord, unlike a bunch of to be quite honest, neckbeard comic tubers that shudder at the sight of a shade of brown or, uh, any sight of femininity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't have that. It's not good.
But no, Jenny was great, and so was Jaime's sister.
Yeah.
Milagro, which that was the most interesting change that, again, I wasn't on board with, because funnily enough, in the comics, Milagro is like 8.
Oh, really?
So she really, yeah, she was very much like a full-on younger sister. And one thing that's missing in this modern thing that audiences aren't going to really get to experience, but if you read the books, which, good thing about what DC's doing, they actually advertise the comics before you go see the movies. They did it with the Batman, they did it with the Flash, and then they did it with this. If you go read Geffen and Rogers' run, there's a whole running thing in his first volume. In the first 6 issues, comes back and he's, Blue Beetle. His family doesn't really know what to make of it, and they see him as just a monster, and he traumatizes his sister to the point where for a good third or a good quarter of the run, she doesn't even want to be in the same room as him. And it's not until he shares like the full experience of what he went through in that missing time that, as he's freaking out and he starts turning into the Blue Beetle, she actually runs and embraces him. But for what they did with this, I love that Milagro was just like around his age, maybe just slightly younger, just a little bit younger, just because it did give him somebody to bounce off of in that same age range. And the actress that they got to play Milagro, that was a character that for me was kind of a bit on your end, Brock, with George Lopez, where it's like,
Okay.
all right, you're going a bit far in some areas that I love, and you're going a bit far in some areas that I hate.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you're giving off perfect little sister energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
Overall, I just think that like they really cast this family really well.
Now, I'll admit, and I'm curious to know what you guys thought, because as much as I'm a Blue Beetle fan, I have to admit that I'm a big DC guy more than Marvel, truth be told.
same.
But like at the same time, there's still some bits that I'm kind of I have blind spots to. So I'm curious to know what you guys thought about OMAC.
I'm still trying to process the fact that I got to see OMAC in a film.
Same. I said in both our earlier review and my own Letterboxd review that like never in a million years I think we were actually going to get OMAC in a live action DC movie. Let alone that this version, which stands for One Man Army Corps, would be involved in probably the most thrilling third act I've seen in a superhero movie in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is how you do a third act, guys.
It is. It was really good.
Something else I said in our earlier review, I think this is a much better third act than the climax of Iron Man.
Oh yes, This is like the stakes that just kept getting raised. And it has one of my favorite tropes in any superhero movie where the hero is depowered for a while and having to just kind of survive off the skin of their teeth. For me, I always love seeing in a superhero movie or in a superhero game where, you get to experience the hero do heroic shit, but unmasked, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And especially, like I said, those bits in the tunnels, and in the same way that you guys were like, I can't believe I lived to see OMAC in a movie. I can't believe I got to see the Bug in a movie, and let alone that
Mm-hmm.
the Bug got a full-on action scene. That felt like something I would only see like after James Gunn has been well and seated in the DC universe. Like, all right, let's have Detective Chimp over there. Let's have Court swinging from the hook of the Bug, and you know what? Let's just throw in there some Guy Gardner like flipping the bird with his ring.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things where I was watching this. I'm like, I can see why James went, you know what? I think I'll include this one. This guy can come to the cookout afterwards.
It's the love of the legacy too, which
That's
the
another
fact
thing I mentioned in my own review, that the concept of legacy is something that like isn't really explored enough in live action comic book movies. Like,
And it's a big thing DC should take advantage of because they do it a lot more than anyone else.
yep. So far, the only other movie to really embrace that is Ant-Man, because Scott Lang is definitely not the first to don the suit.
yeah. But yeah, I'm just saying, apples to oranges, but at the same time, if they had done something like this with Ant-Man, oh my god, I would love it so much more.
Mhm.
Like, just the fact that we got we got so much Steve Ditko love with Ted Kord. Like, my inner child and my comic book geek side my heart was swelling, because the second that I saw the Bug and that they went down with like the zip line and everything like that, and they dropped off Jenny and Milagro into the tunnels, I thought in my head, I swear to God, if they at least do one of these characters hanging from the rope, just like Ditko had drawn, even in some way, I'm gonna be so goddamn happy. And of course, it was Theo Rudy,
Of
and
course.
it's just like, okay, god damn it, they're hitting me right here. But
Yep.
more than that, even the references to Dan Garrett,
Yep.
which
By the way, the the character who wears the OMAC suit, his name is Ignacio Carapax, and Carapax is in the comics, he was a rival to Garrett.
gotta love those little. I thought the name sounded familiar. I'll admit I'm not well versed in Garrett's tenure, but like, God, that's so pulpy.
Mhm.
That's so pulpy. I love it. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. And like this, okay, this is the thing that maybe you're going to have to inform me of here, or they just made a choice. So, small short tangent to get to where this is going. I went to my local theater, and then like you go in the door, and then you come around here for concessions, and then you take the left of the first two theaters, and then go in the back end where the other three are. And right off to the right is a bathroom that leads out to the exit where the like kind of U-horns around with the theaters in the back. And I went to go at the bathroom after I paid, and I came out, and my barely halfway through middle school nephew's there. I'm like, Ethan, what the heck are you doing here? He's like, over to see Blue Beetle. I'm like, freaking sweet. I'm going to go watch it with you. And we go in, and we get to where they're doing their little, arming up scene. And I had to be physically glued back together when I saw that the power glove was a part of Ted Kord's arsenal, along with the little dangler light and like Game Boy accessories on the tracker.
That shit right there felt like it was ripped straight out of the fucking Geffen run for Justice League International. That feels like something very much
Like,
of
I didn't
that
know if that was a
time.
thing, but I'm like, if it wasn't, like, I like Ted Cord that much more now.
They had a lot of like references to his gear and everything like that. They didn't use the light guns, but like it's worth it just to have like Nana Reyes with the big ass gun,
Old
and on top
painless.
of that, Milagro with sporting the power glove. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy also that they didn't do the low hanging fruit when she's got like the glove and it does like the fist. I was like, okay, they're not about to have her flip the bird or anything.
No.
Nice restraint. That's
Yeah.
for Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Ball's in
Yeah.
your court now, James Gunn.
Absolutely. But
Seriously.
when I said, they're like, why are you laughing so hard? I'm like, that thing was something I barely know what it is. That is old school. Like, my nephew hasn't seen anything before Switch.
So
But,
just
yeah.
real quick on Carapax. It's funny too that they made him this villain again, just to have that tie with Dan Garrett. Just if you know, you know.
Mhm.
But in the comics, Jaime actually did fight Carapax once.
Hmm.
So little slight tangent, but in like right at the end of his fight with the Reach, and they had crossed over with like a new creative team. The first issue that they did with that new creative team before ultimately getting canceled, Jaime's doing like some reconnaissance work and he's like flying around El Paso and all that. And suddenly he is brought face to face with like 6 villains or so from Dan Garrett's tenure and I believe
Dang.
Ted Cord's tenure. And they're like, we're here to stop you, Blue Beetle. You know, we heard there's a new beetle in town and we're ready to crush you, this and that. And he takes them all out in like a 2-page spread. And
Nice.
they don't matter for the rest of the issue.
That's spectacular. 'Cause, wait, what is he? How is he creating shit? What is he doing? What is he doing?
Like they were so prepared because they thought it was going to be like, oh, he's just a guy. We could smack him around, or he's just like Ted Cord. He doesn't have any powers. Psh. No, and I had to look it up just because my books are in the other room, but it says right here on Wikipedia, Carapax is defeated when Jaime makes a crack in his shoulder and throws one of his own missiles into it. So like
Spectacular. Spectacular.
Yeah, that's I love it. I love how just absolutely nerdy this movie is.
it's so nerdy. It's so nerdy and it's not ashamed of it. It's not ashamed
No.
of it and it doesn't do it in a cynical way.
Nope,
No.
not at all.
No. It was the best part about it.
Like I guess that gets into something that you know is kind of part of the broader conversation with this movie too because again, maybe I'm just terminally online, but have you noticed that there's been an awful lot of negativity surrounding this movie's existence?
Yeah.
Surrounding this movie's existence feels just very it feels needlessly cruel, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yep.
And this gets into a little thing that you know it partly this movie isn't it's not doing strong its first weekend, and that's understandable. Even when I thought, oh, I could have a chance to make this movie, I know going in, yeah, first weekend's going to be rough, but it's got to be one of those things that good word of mouth will go a long way. And especially with August kind of being to an extent a bit of a slower month too. You know, we're well past Barbenheimer hype, and unfortunately Turtles Mutant Mayhem didn't splash like I thought it would, even though that's a great movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably my favorite cartoon animated superhero movie this year. I know that's I love Spider-Verse, but like Mutant Mayhem takes the slight edge for me.
You know what? I won't argue against it.
Yeah.
But like the conversation around this movie even coming into theaters is so disheartening. And I alluded to it on Twitter recently because when I make my follow-up video after the strikes are over, I want to talk about how much this movie means to me and also just unfortunately, the changing landscape, but at the same time, kind of the antagonism behind a movie like this, because everyone automatically assumes that this movie is performative by its existence. And I was fully prepared to kind of be on that same level if I felt that there wasn't a shred of authenticity in this movie, but there really is. What you see here is it really did feel like they took a melting pot of all of us Latinos and Latinx and Latine, everybody as much as possible, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're first generation, second generation, even from down south, and you're just absorbing all this. It felt like just us. And that's more than I can say for a lot of superhero movies that try this. The closest that comes to this, in my opinion, is both Black Panther movies. But like, when you compare it to like the performative practices of like the Disney remakes in
Oh yeah.
particular, which poor Rachel Zegler getting roped into
Mm-hmm.
this drama. I'll always support her. But like the way that they go about all of this and the way that they go about like these newer movies and trying to make it seem like it's a cultural statement and at the same time that it's also like other people saying that why is this being so performative? Just let the movie be a movie. I know it's not making a lot of sense, but especially in the wake of Oppenheimer and Barbie doing so well, they look at Blue Beetle coming out as kind of stealing that thunder and coming off as essentially kind of taking up space in the cinematic landscape when more important movies are out there right now. Like there's so many people upset that Blue Beetle is taking away IMAX screens for Oppenheimer.
There is definitely something just very inherently racist about that. Whether it's like intentional or not, that's just how it comes across.
Whether or not it's intentional, and I can attest to this with a lot of friends of mine, and especially YouTube colleagues that have seen this movie. They all say the same thing, and that's the fact that Warner Brothers kind of damned this movie before it could even get a chance. So all anybody has before even seeing the movie and realizing how special it is, they have those trailers in mind. They have the lack of publicity behind it. And the fact that for better or worse, they have to live with the fact that, admittingly, I've done this myself, that it was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive that was pushed to the theaters. So they're already going into it with this mindset that it's basically the equivalent of like High School Musical 3. And
yeah, which is just unfair. And something else, Josh, that I wanted to bring to your attention. Earlier on Twitter today, Danny Fernandez made a tweet about this movie kind of underperforming and how it's always up to like the target demographic to be the one to show up for movies like this or Joyride earlier this summer, or whenever a movie like geared at like a single demographic like fails to perform at the box office, that demographic is sort of blamed for not showing up. And yet for movies with a predominantly white cast, that's usually never the case.
We should be getting bitched at. I'm gonna be honest here. And this goes into the wider array of why I hate the fact that people have access to computers now. Boy, would I love to be my age in the mid-90s. It would be just best. Oh, I'd be living like a king. All of you jackasses that go out and say, I don't want to see another Batman film. The Batman film made $1 billion. Shut the fuck up. I want to see something else new. I want to see something else creative. I want someone that's actually going to take charge and do something new. James Gunn comes out, makes a plan. That's fucking stupid. I don't think anything he does is going to be good, even though he's only made good films and we've loved every one of them. Then he says, you want to know what, guys? Blue Beetle's fucking great. Blue Beetle's going to be the first one that we should go out and see. Fuck that guy's plans. He didn't cast the guy that I liked as Superman. Fuck you. I don't care what you try to say. Then all of us people out here, unlike the three of us here and a few select people that I know that actually want something new and want something cool and creative, go to the theater. And I've seen the meme 1,400 fucking times on Twitter today. DC fans bitching they want something new. Full crowd of 1,000 people. Those same people when then something new comes out. Empty fucking theater.
God, I hate that meme so much.
It's so true though.
And especially the people that are posting pictures of like the empty screenings for Blue Beetle, like at various cineplexes and auditoriums, and it's almost like they're cheering for the movie to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're happy that no one's seen it. That's fucking ridiculous.
Here's the thing. Those same people that are like, I want something new. And I'll admit, yeah, when it comes to movies predominantly starring white people, for the most part, they will show up. But I will admit, credit to the white brethren out there. I was there in the trenches when The Nice Guys came out and nobody watched it. I was there when Bad Times at the El Royale came out, empty fucking theater.
Same.
But then meanwhile, they'll go see like more Marvel movies and then complain about the quality of Marvel movies. Yeah. When you take a step back and just observe brand new art, or even just look at the storytellers that are still with us and still doing excellent art. As much as I hate to say it, I am really scared about what the cinematic landscape is going to look like once Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese are off this world. Especially, a lot of this is also brought up, especially because William Friedkin just died. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Sorcerer, To Live and Die in LA, The Exorcist, Cruising, you know, there always has to be like some sort of like counter programming to everything. And I'll admit, we did do this to ourselves with the popularity of Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. But when you have something like this with Blue Beetle that actually tries to say something new in its execution, it may be formulaic. But when it's got like so much culture, so much personality, and on top of that, history too, the fact that they brought up the School of the Americas, that took me aback. The fact that, again, the classism, the blatant racism that they have with Victoria Cord constantly calling the doctor, hey, come on, Sanchez. Yep. There is stuff to be gleaned from here, and I don't think that superhero filmmaking is inherently like a bloodstone that we're still trying to like mine as much as we can out of. But my God, it is like every single Kate flick that comes out is met with the utmost disdain. Even Guardians Volume 3. Mm-hmm. Even, well, I mean, The Flash, look, admittingly, also, the bigger thing that's also around this is that The Flash came out less than 2 months ago. Yeah. And I could speak for myself and I could speak for a close friend of mine. Shout out to my very close friend from high school, Devin Ogden, who is, you guys, if I am, in my opinion, and I think I can get away with saying this, if I'm the number one Jaime Reyes fan, he is probably in the top 10 of Flash fans. In the comics, he loves the CW show. He loves Young Justice. He loves almost every iteration about the Flash, and he's given the Flash as much of a chance as he could. He went to go see it on his birthday, and whereas I had, in my opinion, the moon or the sun with all of this in terms of like getting the best possible viewing experience, he probably had the worst viewing experience for The Flash. He saw it on his birthday, a little bit delayed, and when he got to the theater, he showed up late to the screening.
Just
showed
like
up.
Barry Allen.
That's
He
very
showed
Barry
up.
Allen. Yeah.
He showed up right after the babies.
Oh, he missed the best part of the film when Batman was in it. Oh wait, there was more Batman later. Barely any fucking Flash.
And then he ended up seeing it 3 more times afterwards, and I was with him one of those times. And after we got out of the screening for Blue Beetle, he was pissed, and I thought, oh no, did he hate the movie? And then, afterwards he said, congratulations, Josh, fuck you. You got your boy done right. Mine was done horrible. You got the better movie. But like, that's indicative of like the image that DC has for this year. And it's a shame because for a little bit, I thought DC was in a much better place. I personally really loved the Suicide Squad. I thought Birds
Same.
of Prey was a good breath of fresh air. Peacemaker was so much fun. The
Still gonna get on
Batman,
Peacemaker.
the Batman is so awesome. And then it was, you hear that? It's almost like a giant rock came tumbling down right in the middle of the DC universe and just kind of fizzled. And I'll admit, I still haven't seen Shazam: Fury of the Gods yet, even though
It's good.
I love the first one. Shazam: Fury of the Gods is probably really good,
Hmm?
but I'll admit, I didn't even know when it came out in theaters. And then out of nowhere, I see that it's doing terrible box office numbers, and I'm thinking, wait, it's coming out? And everybody can only meme on The Rock right now, and then The Flash with its flashiness, and nobody even knows what the fuck is going on with Aquaman.
So I just need to interrupt for 1 second. Warner Brothers has a traffic jam in December. So on the 15th, they've got Wonka. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is supposed to be December 20th. And then on Christmas Day is The Color Purple. So
What?
Yeah, there's a new. It's a musical.
yeah, they're adapting the Broadway musical.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Look.
Got it. Fucking what? Okay, got it.
Which is funny because I just saw The Color Purple for the first time earlier this year. That was one of my Spielberg blind spots. And
Nice.
I love that movie to pieces, but I'm not going to lie. I'm really excited to see what they do with this musical. And I can tell that there's genuine love and care like put into this particular retelling too. And I can tell that's going to be a lot closer to Alice Walker.
Good.
Yeah,
But
I'm genuinely excited for that. But my point in this digression is that Warner Brothers needs to make a decision fast because every passing day that they don't drop the first Aquaman 2 trailer is sort of a sign that they're thinking about delaying the movie. But every single day that passes where they don't announce a new release date has me worried that they're just going to dump the movie on the side of the road.
They need to. I am so scared. Again, I think we've established I like all comic books, everything period. I'm a fan of creativity in that of itself. I'm a guy that writes fan fiction. It might not be good, but I still like doing it. Anyway, I am a DC kid at heart.
Same.
And when I hear things of James Gunn thinking that you should basically base how he's doing his DC universe off of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, my hopes get up. If they don't get their shit together and people truly start turning on James Gunn and his regime fails, DC is literally never going to recover for a decade, if longer. They're so fucked beyond maybe a Batman continuously through Matt Reeves, and that's it. And I'm one of the biggest Batman fans you will ever meet. I don't want that.
And you know what frustrates me even more? Like, I think all of us here are big DC fans, but people who are not like us, and I don't mean this in a gatekeeper way. There are too many fair weather DC people who either they only like the movies or they only like the Dark Knight trilogy, which is fine. You can have your preference, but I just really hate the sort of "what have you done for me lately" attitude towards like a library of characters that spans, 85 plus years of some of the greatest characters of all time.
Yeah.
Alternatively, there's also the comic book equivalent of that, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a DC fan. I've read The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen and All-Star Superman, and like that's it. And it's yeah, great. Go read more Alan Moore. Go read Swamp Thing. Go read Booster Gold. Go read The Sandman.
Yeah, my favorite part about stuff like that is like we'll just take a symbol. I literally had this conversation the other day at work because I was talking about the dream adaptations that I'd want of stuff, and I mentioned No Man's Land, and they're talking about, oh yeah, that would be cool. I'm like, oh, you're a big Batman fan? He's like, absolutely. I'm like, oh, then sweet. Did you be really happy about, like, you're just talking about different things that's splitting off, and I can see like the literal cracks showing in the head, and they have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. And then I mentioned Cassandra Cain. And they're like, who? I'm like one of the other Batgirls. There's other Batgirls? I'm like, big Batman fan, huh? Huge. Read comics. That's not a small detail.
God, it's disheartening.
It's like I've met people that are claiming to be big comic book fans that are like giant, like, okay, I'm going to call out a friend of mine, but I'm not going to mention him by name. I love him to death. He's one of my best friends. He's like a brother to me. But like when the Flash came out, he was upset that Barry wasn't cracking jokes. And he like said to me that like the Flash is one of the most, like, I want to say, quippiest comic book heroes ever invented. I'm like, stop. You have Spider-Man, Dick Grayson, and Deadpool who would love to have a conversation. And then I went, that's just Wally. And he's like, no, he's not. It's been in the cartoons before. I'm like, you mean in Justice League when that was Wally West and not Barry Allen? And then he went back and went like, oh, I guess they are. Like, guys, you can just say you're a fan. You don't, when you like something, have to say you're the biggest thing in the world unless you are fully prepared to back that up.
Yep. And there's that whole thing of gatekeeping, but like, look, even with this, if somebody comes up to me and it's just like, oh, you're a Blue Beetle fan? I'm a big Blue Beetle fan. I'm not gonna like shame them or anything, but at the same time, I don't want them to piss on my leg and say that it's raining. Like if I tell them like, oh, okay, what run did you like? Are you reading like the new stuff? Are you reading Graduation Day? Are you checking out like the new series? What do you think about like Tracy 13? And they're just like, were they in Young Justice? Well, I mean, technically they just weren't together. Wait, they're together? Okay. We're going to Barnes and Noble. I'm going to educate you. But like, don't come at me. Let me help you. Let me bring you in. Like,
the main point of what I'm doing with that is you'll get these people that don't like these movies. And that's what I was getting at with Mike, where they're like, well, they didn't do the blank that was in comics. I'm like, motherfucker, you haven't read some of the stupid shit that is in comics that you like mention. You know so much. I'm like, okay, do you want them to make a movie about Snowflame, the person that literally gets their fucking powers from cocaine? Or let's talk about Dog Welder, who welds euthanized dogs to people's faces to the point of where they made a Dog Welder 2. Or would you like them to recreate the panel where Superman is tied to a bed and I almost said Lex Luger. Lex Luthor is holding pink kryptonite over him, and you can see his rotting erection wanting to burst out of his singlet. Guess what? You don't know how stupid some of those comics are, and they need to be adapted. Maybe because you've read one, don't say you know the comics. Say you've read a couple. Speak properly when you say what you want, because you come off as a dickhead.
That's why I say, you know what? My hope with James Gunn's new regime is that he just throws a full-on monkey wrench, quite literally, just one day at Comic-Con. Fucking black screen, and then you just see a banana peel, and then in walks Detective Chimp, and that's it. That's your teaser. Fuck it, have him voiced by Daniel Craig. Have him do the fucking Benoit Blanc voice. Just something to trip people up and be like, "What are we doing here? What is this?" And it's like, no, you don't understand. This is going to be the greatest thing that you'll see, and you don't even know that you want it.
Yeah.
And
like on a similar vein, when they did Hint Monkey at Hulu, I was like, what in the actual hell? This is really good.
just to broaden the point that Josh made, and I say this with love to my brethren in the Snyder cult.
Let go.
Yeah, DC is not the Snyderverse. DC is not it's not any one specific style of adaptation. It can be anything. It can be dark, but it can also be light and silly. They've done crossovers with Looney Tunes, with Hanna-Barbera. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Looney Tunes comic is still ongoing and has been for like 30 years.
It is. And the fact that at this point, Zack Snyder has gone so far into actively creating his own brand new universe with like lore Bibles that he's creating. And they still are like, sell it to Netflix. Zack will want to do it. Zack doesn't want to.
It's the film equivalent of being like, maybe Kojima will come back for Metal Gear.
Oh my God.
And it's just
You're
like, guys.
So right.
And it's just like, guys, he's doing delivery games with Ghost and some weird horror game potentially
and
with
piss
Microsoft.
bombs.
Like, guys, we've lost the script. Don't worry about it. Like, especially in the context of the strikes happening, do you want Zack Snyder to come out tomorrow and say, "Hey, I'm coming back. We're shooting like we're shooting Justice League 2 Dark Side Boogaloo, and we're shooting tomorrow," and then have him be a scab? Do you want David Ayer to come in with Gotham City Sirens and basically trounce on like the striking people and just make them feel like shit? Like, oh man, sucks for this. I'm not even like a big David Ayer fan, but I'll still respect the fact that he has his movie. He's still clearly fighting to get his version seen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to come back if it means coming back to the same shitty conditions that they had to experience as filmmakers. These same people aren't even trying to go for the other filmmakers that were screwed over by the Warner Brothers regime. I don't hear them going on, "Oh, when's Rick Famuyiwa gonna do a new feature-length film? When, when are we gonna see like David Ayer's next film?" Even as much as I didn't like The Tax Collector, nobody saw The Tax Collector.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
With all of this, I'm even worried whether or not most Snyder fans are even going to show up for Rebel Moon.
I'll tell you this: if it's playing in my theater, which I really hope it is, I will be there opening night.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't even know if a lot of people saw Army of Thieves.
I don't know if they did. They literally only care about like Zack. They cannot see that he literally got turned into a marketing ploy. They didn't care about him making new things. They cared about, oh, Zack, people will watch that if you came by and edited it. So we'll pay you dirt cheap, do that, and then go away again until we can wait another 3 years. Make sure it looks like you got treated like shit. But we're being kind to you to let you come back to make us make money because we know there are brainless people that are going to watch it because your name's attached to it. Even if it's just you pissing into a jar for 20 minutes. That's what he got turned into. He's a literal like DLC attachment onto a movie. That's what it was.
Like, I want to see this same level of energy accredited to like what Zack Snyder wants to do next. Like, I'll admit, I actually want to see his adaptation that he wanted to do of Atlas Shrugged, or like the King Arthur story that he wanted to do set during the Gold Rush, or that one that he said is like basically him going for the Oscar, which was what the fuck is it called? I think it was like Wild Stallions or something like that.
Something like that. Every director has like a long graveyard of projects that have never gotten off
Dex
the ground.
openly said recently that he still wants to do a director's cut of
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Same.
It cycles back to that same thing of like, you want new shit, but you're blaming the wrong demographic.
Yeah, which will tie back to Blue Beetle, because something that you brought up, something else I said in my review is the secret to making a great comic book movie is making a great movie, but one that doesn't have to sacrifice fealty to the source material or the authentic voice of the filmmaker. And well, I'll admit I did not see the director's previous film. I still felt like this was like his movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was a genuine voice, and it didn't have to tie into anything larger. This is what I want from these movies going forward, just bringing us into a world, bringing us into this space that the character occupies. That's why I think the Batman resonated so well, because it was just living in Gotham. That's even why Joker did so well. It's not just like we live in a society, OMG, he literally me, Patrick Bateman stuff, but it's that anybody can relate to being in a shitty town where it just feels like the city's just closing in on you. And it's they're going to take the wrong lessons away from this.
Oh yeah.
I know they are.
Mm-hmm. They always do. They always take the wrong lessons from both success and failure.
And then they can have concrete evidence, quotation, evidence. I'm doing very large quotation marks for anyone who is not seeing this live, where they see, no one cared about it. We're not going to bring up the fact of what was going on surrounding this film. No one cared.
Fuck you. If you're going to campaign for Ryan Gosling being Ken for the Oscar for Best Actor, go try and bully Shane Black into doing The Nice Guys too. Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, go bring back like stuff that should have had its time in the spotlight. Mm-hmm. I'm still a little bitter on that.
Or speaking of projects that should have happened, how about Joseph Kosinski's sequel to Tron Legacy?
That's in a coffin currently.
It's okay. We have everybody's favorite actor, Jared Leto. Don't you love Jared Leto?
I used to.
Until he just...
Suicide Squad.
And then after that, it's just like, bury me.
Okay. You fucking shut the fuck! I fucking hate you.
I hear that song way too often on the radio now.
Because that's the only one that they want to play from 30 Seconds to Mars. It's like, guys, there's more Smashing Pumpkins songs. You don't have to play 1979. That cut deep for you guys.
Damn it. God damn it. That came so out of nowhere, but I should have seen it coming.
I have no idea how to bring this back.
Anyway, so
actually, wait, no, I know how.
Fucker.
We'll talk about Ted Cord and the. We will talk about Ted Cord and the two stingers, the mid credits and the post credits scene.
The post credit scene was
before we get there. Did you like the I don't know if there is the the hive. I don't know what they call it, because I always think of the dumb joke where they call it the arrow cave, but it should be called the quiver. Was there did you like the representation of like his hideout? Because again, I know nothing of Blue Beetle outside of like a little bit with him and Booster, and then Young Justice and Injustice. Did you like how that was in there? Because we didn't talk about the hideout that much.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, like, when it comes to like how Ted Cord is, like, initially he was very dominated by the Steve Ditko, philosophical leanings, and that could be very hit or miss. And at times it came off as Spider-Man 2.0, where he's just like, see, Stan, this is what Spider-Man should have been at times. And then, cooler heads prevailed, and then we got another run, if I remember, I think by Gary Conway. I'm not sure.
Sounds familiar.
A very prominent comic book artist, a writer, which I do have a big trade of, though unfortunately it's in black and white, which I hate when they do classic, like, big printings of older comics, and it turns out, oh, you want to see all those colors? Nope. But basically, Theo Rudy kind of had it right that Blue Beetle was basically like Batman, but just not good. His main thing was that he always tried his fucking best, and it was basically, this is a weird comparison, but it was kind of like what I thought they were gonna do with Iron Fist, where like Danny Rand is kind of trying to run Rand Enterprises or whatever it was called, but all the while he's doing his Iron Fisty shit and he's Iron Fisting all over New York. And they're just like, but Danny, shares are down and you're running around fighting ninjas. That was basically what Ted Kord was kind of doing. And if I remember correctly, there were some instances that he did lose the company here and there. Even as much as I don't like Jeff Johns as a person, that was one thing that he did lean into a lot, that like in his last in Ted Kord's last appearance that he did before he got killed by Maxwell Lord in that same issue, that Ted Kord was kind of always seen as like an outsider and never really taken seriously, but he would have some kernels here and there, and he did prove his own. And he didn't have a layer per se. He was just kind of stringing shit along. If I were to, from what I remember the comics, it was kind of like, what he was like in the comics. And I want to believe that he's as much of a nerd about this as I am, but chances are he just thought it was realistic. It was basically what Bruce Wayne and Lucius Fox were doing in fucking Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, where it was just like, hey, I want to do this. Well, Wayne R&D has this. Cool. I'm going to make it black, but just change that to blue.
Oh, nice.
I think even the bug was meant to be like a prototype, and it was just like, well, I can fake it into a bug.
Nice. That's awesome.
But giving him his own layer and kind of adding that whole thing like as an inverse to Batman for, Hyman, all them, it's very clever, kind of giving the audience that little bit of like, okay, like just having that little tangible thing without having like a 2-minute cameo from Batman, just letting the world building do the talking.
It also kind of pays off that Gotham Law hoodie that he came home wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh man,
we talked about this in my review. Comic book super wigs are so stupid. The fact that at this point in our year of our Lord 2023, we still don't have just a DC Universe shop and a Marvel shop where it's like, yep, you would have the Gotham Knights and you can buy football jerseys, or you could like do what? How do we not have that by now?
That's because that goes back to what we said. They don't let the characters live in the worlds.
Unreal.
The one hope that I have with Superman Legacy is a weird thing. Just a quick aside. I hope that James Gunn makes Metropolis feel like a character, just in the same way that he made Nowhere feel like a character in Guardians Volume 3, or that he made Corto Maltese feel in The Suicide Squad. And, once you have like people looking at these backgrounds, these cities, and being like, because there are already people that are like, man, I want to go to Palmera City. There you go. That's a starting point. Then you want to get people to go to Metropolis, get people to go to Gotham, even if they're like, I wouldn't live there, but I mean, I'd like to visit Central City, maybe Bloodhaven, but like we're.
I can only dream my wet dreams, literally.
One last thing about Ted Kord before we get to the Stingers. One of my fan casts for if we ever see Ted Kord like in person would have been Patrick Wilson, and I'll admit it's kind of in part because he already played Night Owl in Watchmen, which if you know your comics,
That'd be a good full circle.
Yeah.
I told him I want the dream duo of Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk as Booster and Ted.
See, Alan Tudyk is always going to be my preferred fan cast for Ted Cord. When I wrote my Blue Beetle script, I had in mind that Alan Tudyk was played by Ted Cord. And on top of that, more El Paso rep, because we claim him. He was born and raised here.
I did not know that. That's awesome. Nice.
But admittingly, if they're not going to do that, because as much as I know James Gunn and Alan Tudyk are friends, I also know that Alan Tudyk is probably like, look, James, I'm not going to do that.
I think this might be the first time I've ever seen someone do an Alan Tudyk impersonation outside of Steve the Pirate.
In my head, Alan Tudyk just off screen always sounds like Clayface. Just, James, listen. I'm already Mr. Negative. I'm already Mr. Nobody in Doom Patrol. I'm already Clayface in Harley Quinn. I'm already the Joker in Harley Quinn. I'm all DC'd out, and that would be a damn shame.
It would.
But if they were to get anybody for Ted Cord, ooh, that's an interesting topic. I've heard some people say Jason Sudeikis.
That would be bad.
I'm not sure. You have to get somebody that can pull off just the kind of.
He's got to be a dork.
I consider
Brendan Fraser.
Maybe back in the 90s. You have to get somebody that, in my opinion, can pull off what I can consider Steve Martin core.
Steve Martin core.
Like, in my mind, he can easily be like a grump, but he's also like the silliest character playing it totally straight. Maybe that's just how I've always read it in the comics, but like, in all honesty, Patrick Wilson probably is the closest thing that I could think of. But
that's exactly why I thought of that, because he can play the he has like dad vibes, and I think
as long as he's only allowed to have sex while he's in the bug. I want that continuity to keep over. He needs to have erectile dysfunction attached to the vehicle he rides in.
I will say, if they do Booster Gold, they're already planning on it. I'm just saying, Joel McHale's right there.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Billy Magnuson, but that works too.
Ooh, that's a good
one. Be really
too.
Good.
Anyway,
So,
let's get to that mid-credit scene. So,
yeah.
Even though Cord hasn't really been in the movie, his presence was still felt throughout the thing. So the mid-credits scene is like we hear like some static and like a little message. We hear a voice completely uncredited. I have no idea who this is. And the message says like if anybody hears this, tell this is a message. Tell Ted, if Ted Cord's daughter is seeing this, tell her that her father loves her and that he is alive.
Now, me and Mike are on two opposite sides of the fence here. I think that is someone else, and he thinks that's Ted.
I'll admit I probably have to rewatch the movie and listen to that audio again. But Josh, who do you think that is? Do you think it's Ted or do you think it's someone else?
See, I thought it was Ted because I thought he said that. I thought he said, "Tell my daughter."
No, I heard himself. I heard Ted's daughter. And again, I could have misheard it, but I heard Ted's daughter. And it's weird that it said, "Tell her that Ted is alive." In my opinion, it's weird to me that for no reason you would play the pronoun game third person to get an emergency message out. To me, anyway.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. I mean, I'm already gonna watch it again, but
I don't know
about the other thing because it could be Booster.
That's who I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And you got a person that's from the future. You could say he's just lost somewhere. I'm
sure Angel the director will confirm the identity like either after the weekend or maybe like weeks from now. But for now, like who knows whether or not this movie you know becomes canon in James Gunn's DC universe, but just as a stinger, I thought this was handled really well.
Yeah, that was that for a fan like me, that's some good that's some good teasing. And on top of that, by that point, there's so much mystery around Ted Cord that, like, in my opinion, I think it's done enough that even the audience will be like, fuck, I want to know what happens. Where's Ted?
Yeah, like we never really get an answer other than he's gone.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the possibility of seeing a dynamic with Jaime and Ted if they do keep him alive, where even with all of this, Jaime is still struggling and all that. And then the second Ted's brought back, maybe you can look to him as like the best stuff of the Rebirth run, where Jaime is being trained by Ted. And it's just like, I have so many questions, this and that. And then he just kind of realizes, wait, you're telling me you don't have your shit together?
Mm-hmm.
You never did.
And you know what? They don't have a whole lot of that going on in any current comic book continuity. It's not like the mentor that has no idea because you got different stuff than me, despite the fact we're the same hero.
That was one thing that they did. Just as a real quick, just quick back before we get to the last stinger. I realized where they did kind of lift the heart attack stuff, and it's the same thing that I lifted from my script too, which was Rebirth.
Really?
And the thing is, the heart attack stuff was Ted Cord. Like in Rebirth continuity, I don't know what's going on now though, because I know that Ted Cord has his own series with Booster Gold, it's Blue and Gold, and he's back in the suit. But at the start of Rebirth and in Jaime's run, he is basically retired, but helping out Jaime, just being his guy in the chair and this and that. And it's because Ted had a really bad heart attack and he can't really do much,
Huh.
So that realize that's the beauty thing about it. Just like the fact that it really does pull from a lot of different threads. And yeah, if you were to try and stay wholly to the canon, oh my god, it's a fucking nightmare. But it does what all the best adaptations do, up there with Raimi's Spider-Man or James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. Just picking and choosing from the best bits of continuity, and even Dick Donner's Superman, just choosing the best bits from continuity and just making a gumbo of the best things. I mean, and some of it might stick for better or worse. I mean, as I understand it, Superman didn't even fly until
the
Richard
radio
Donner.
show.
Until the radio show?
Yep.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The best part that I love speaking about exactly something like that and adapting? All these movies that Wonder Woman was in, you want to know one thing that they never complained about? The fact that she didn't fly in the movies. Never came up ever. Never saw it anywhere. No one bitched. I was like, y'all, that's a big deal. And you didn't care. Like,
Jesus.
what? Crazy when you think about that now, how that was not a big deal that people were unreasonably pissy about for no reason.
Yeah, now that I think about it, like
it helped differentiate her from Superman.
Yep. Now
she just jumped really far.
Yep. Now,
she did glide in 84. Okay,
yeah,
so I'll give him that. But
all right, let's talk about this post-credit scene.
Josh, tell us what this is.
Okay, so I gotta brown splain. So here's the thing. That was purely for us over here south of the border. El Chapulín is basically like one of the most like well-loved and iconic Mexican superheroes over here, and it was just one of those little nods just for us. It's one of those, if you know, you know. He's basically, yeah, he's a bug superhero, and he had like a live action show, he had a cartoon, and it's one of those fixtures in Mexican households that, like, growing up, You've seen him. You've seen his slapstick. It basically, to explain it for you guys, it's like if Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy was a real show.
That'd be amazing.
Honest to God, like literally sitting there, all of us in our row were just giggling at the fact that they had even referenced him and had him playing on the TV to begin with, and then just the fact that they had that as like the ending stinger. That's for us what it was like being a Sam Raimi fan and sitting at the end of Multiverse of Madness with Bruce Campbell punching himself, and then Eddie's like, "It's over."
Question. Did I misremember it? Is that what he called the jammer device?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Okay. There we go.
See? It all ties together. Like that would also be like I don't know exactly what a French superhero would be, but that would be like the equivalent of, you know, a jamming device playing like Asterix or something. It's that like very culturally specific touch that I think helps make this movie stand out.
The funny thing is looking at these websites that are like post-credit scenes explain, and they're talking about El Chapulín Colorado, and they're like, does this mean that this character could appear in the DC universe? And it's like,
amazing.
Okay. Hold the phone, guys. Look, get out of the comic brain, get out of the cinematic universe brain for a second. Like, I'm reading this one from movieweb.com.
Oh, geez.
It's like, the second scene is a brief cartoon involving the Mexican superhero El Chapulín Colorado. The scene is in reference to a joke that Rudy Reyes makes earlier in the film. It is unclear if this scene was simply a joke or if it could tease the introduction of another DC hero. Some might consider the character to be an odd choice to be added in the universe.
I like at the end credit scene, you literally hear Rudy laughing at it.
Yeah.
Like
oh my God. Post-credit scene explained. Is a new hero coming to the DC universe?
They refer to him as a DC hero in the first part of that too, which, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not.
No, not even close.
For Chesperito. Yeah, literally, this one right here, it's like Blue Beetle introduces the best Mexican hero to the world, which, admittingly, that is true. And it's like the second end credit scene of Blue Beetle has nothing to do with the DCU. It's like, thank you. At least this writer fucking gets it.
Good gravy.
And it says right here for you guys, like, you know, the chosen animated version of El Chapulín Colorado, introducing the character's comic powers, and in animation explains to the public how Chapulín is more agile than a turtle, stronger than a mouse, nobler than a lettuce.
While you were talking, I went down the El Chapulín Colorado rabbit hole. I was trying to specifically find an animated series, and I found the 2015 series. I haven't seen like a clip or anything, but I am genuinely wondering if that was something that they referenced in the movie.
See, I don't know. That's the thing, because I'll admit, like, as much as I'm 2015, is it 2D animated?
I think it was like CG animated or like that kind of faux stop motion style.
Let me see real quick.
Oh my Lanta.
That might have been, I know what this is, and that was kind of a reboot. I don't know I don't know like the full on like reception of it, but
this
again
is I am on the villains wiki right now because I had to look up villains for this. Literal name, evildoer. Occupation, gangster.
You see, this is the magic of this movie. The fact that we could introduce El Chapulín Colorado to Brock. Just think there are millions
type of villain,
Brocks.
murderous gangster.
There are millions of rocks out there right now discovering El Chapulín Colorado, and that would not happen if this was directed by, say, I don't know, Luke Besson
No, this
or
is
or or like Ron Howard. Like, I'm not to shame those directors at all, but like, again, the director and the writer in particular, I
man.
always
Oh,
get the Blue Beetle screenwriter's name wrong.
hobby committing crimes, goals committing crimes without the police's interference.
Gareth Donnet Alcocer. Yeah, I was critical of him initially because I did not like the Miss Bala remake, but
Oh, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that either.
he came to play with this,
Damn
and
right.
he's from Mexico, so he knows. It's it's like watching Creed, and what's her name? She takes Donnie to go get some Johns. It's like one of those little things that's like, okay, there, like, you can tell that this is like an attempt to try and like actually get you to feel the location, and just these little things at the very end, just El Chapulín Colorado. I mean,
Yeah.
and hey, it makes people curious. I mean, we got Rock to go down to the wiki for
Like I'm
the
looking like
murders
right now.
locations.
El Tripa Seca. I have assumed that's how that's pronounced. Dry guts. And he's been portrayed by multiple different people. Like there's a live action show that I didn't know existed that I'm seeing right here.
Yeah, that's like one of the classic ones that, like, if you go to any Mexican household and you put that on, they're gonna like light up like crazy. And on top of that, there's like a little animation on YouTube, if you look for it, that has the whole thing, like the stop motion animated El Chapulín Colorado from back then, but instead of like the character, it's Blue Beetle in that same style.
Oh, that's cool.
Really? That's awesome. Nice. That's amazing. I'm just you guys have to see what I'm seeing here.
I can't believe I can't, I'm sorry, I just can't
You
believe
have to see what I'm seeing here. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's like,
The
what
funny
is-
thing is, here's the thing. I know I'm not giving the best description of all of this, and I'll
It's not-
admit that
it sounds amazing. Like I
it's
love this. This is
it's
awesome.
fucking great. It's so goddamn great, and it's so fun. He he is Mexican Superman.
It's just great. Like this is something that can't be made anymore. But you then see it and you go back and I would blow a Saturday watching this. I kid you not.
Oh, yeah, no, same.
Absolutely.
Uh, God, I love movies. I love cinema. I love the power it has.
And
It's
just
spectacular.
going back to my comment about um, this being the nerdiest DC movie that I've seen in a while. Again, I'm only bringing this up because just a little bit of housekeeping. By the time this episode is on the podcast feed, we will have already released an episode of Renegade Jukebox that talks about why we love the band Death Clock from Metalocalypse.
Nice.
Just to throw another shout out to John Schnepp. If he were alive today, he
He'd be losing his shit.
Oh, he would love it. He would so love it. He would love the fucking the I'm not even a big fan of it, but even I clocked like the reference to Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
The allusions to Man of Steel and other superhero movies, but especially the Dragon Ball Z when he's just like beaming down on Carapax yelling Kaji da,
Yeah, and it's like it's freaking
and that's because also in in Mexico, Dragon Ball in particular is very popular. Anime
Really?
is very popular in Mexico.
I know a lot of people who grew up with like the the Mexican dub of Dragon Ball Z before they like experienced the full series.
It was like that for my friends. Like one thing that my friend who her name Adilene Villarreal, who's my regular makeup artist for my movies, she educated me on Bob Esponja, the Mexican Spanish dub for SpongeBob SquarePants. And she said that she watched Bob Esponja for a long time before she ever saw SpongeBob SquarePants. And for her, it was night and day, but that's how, a lot of people over here used to like kind of learn English and Spanish by watching these shows. Or if you especially want to go down like, the rabbit hole with that, I know again, think about it like this. In terms of all of this, I'm a coconut. I am brown on the outside, but I'll admit I am white as fuck on the inside. I am the first to admit that. I still can't roll my R's. But
Okay.
my God, if you want to see something that's absolutely hilarious, but at the same time so brutally earnest, and that's the best way that I can describe from what I've seen of Mexican pop culture, you have to, at some point, look into La Rosa de Guadalupe.
Okay.
So the premise of this, again, I'm trying to like find a way to explain it in that sense. Imagine the Twilight Zone, but
All
preachy.
right.
But preachy. Every single episode is basically a 40-minute PSA about why something is bad. And it's these characters progressively going down like this horrible path and just like, oh my God, how are you gonna like get out of this? No, I'm not getting out of this. And then one person prays to the to the like the figure, the religious figure, and then a rose will appear. It's like, oh no, God's intervening. And then somehow everything gets resolved. And the second everything's resolved, there's like a heavenly choir and wind blows on your trussels. And it can be the funniest fucking thing sometimes. There's an episode that was very clearly inspired off of Pokemon Go.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that takes you back. And
Oh boy.
there was that whole danger. Admittedly, Mexico can be very conservative when it comes to stuff like that. And they thought that Pokemon Go was a gateway to like abduction.
Got it. Okay.
So they had the Pokemon Go adjacent thing happen, and this kid's just running around, just like, oh my God, look at my Sparky boy or whatever the fuck. And they're just like, hey, you shouldn't be playing that all the time. It's just like, fuck you, Mom. I'm getting all these creatures. I'm getting all these pocket monsters. And then he wanders away after getting his phone. And then he gets kidnapped by human traffickers. And then they pray for, like, please, Miss Guadalupe, please make sure that he's okay. And then the police show up and they're like, did you learn your lesson? It's like, yeah, I'll never do that in this, like, away from you guys ever again. And then the light flashes.
You want to know how many episodes there are of this show?
It's been going since February 5th, 2008.
And it's still going.
There are 1,800 episodes.
There's
and each one is 41 to 44 minutes.
So
I'm assuming that's like not counting commercials and stuff.
The funny thing is with commercials, like if you go on YouTube, there's a bunch of them. Even on YouTube, they'll have commercials for an app exclusively for the show.
Wait, Mike, how many did you say?
1,800.
I was gonna say, I thought you said 1,000. Then I saw 1,800. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, 1,800 episodes.
I'll end this little tangent by just explaining probably my favorite one that I saw, which has genuinely good there's genuinely good acting in these sometimes, and then there's acting that's like, yeah, this is broadcast network. on top of that public broadcast network. So like don't expect any like Noah Hawley level like production quality or anything like that. It's called Netito. And if I remember correctly, it's about this kid that just wants to go to school and he's selling like chips and shit to like the local school. And everyone's just like, "Hey, Netito, why don't you come to school?" It's like, "I can't. My family's too poor, and my mom's working, and my dad's not working, and we're trying to make ends meet. So since my dad can't work, I go out and I hustle the chips, so that way, I can eat at night." And they're like, "Damn, that's terrible." It's like, "I know, right?" And then there's this one fucking officer that's just like, "Hey, you can't sell chips here. That's illegal. Do you have a license to sell here? Are you a vendor?" It's like, "I'm 8." And then they're like, "All right, that's it. You're going to jail." And then it cuts to the parents, and the mom's just like, "Oh my god, we gotta save Netito." But his dad is a scuzz fuck who just drinks all day and then gets money so he can get some more beers. And he's just like, "Get off my back, woman. Can't you see that I'm trying hard?" And she's just like, "But our son is in jail." And it's like, "Well, that's not my problem. You should have kept an eye on him more." And then it gets to the point that the neighbors, like especially an old nana, is just like, "Hey, back the hell away, borracho. Get the fuck back over there. Don't mess with your woman. You're a terrible father." And poor Netito's just in jail this whole time. And then they pray, just like there's one character in particular that's attached to Netito, which is this teacher. And it's just like, "Dear Guadalupe, please, like, help me. Please, Maria, help me." And like, "We gotta get Netito out of jail." And then they go to the jail and they bail him out. And then the dad's just like, "All right, son, come on, you gotta hit the streets again." And he's just like, "I want to go to school, Dad." And he's just like, "No, you understand? I need your help." It's like, "No, I don't want you to keep drinking. I want a future." And then the dad, like, he's being berated in the police station, and they're just like, "Yeah, man, what's wrong with you? You're a shitty dad." And then he's just like, "Oh shit, you guys are right." And then it fades to black, and he's got his shit together, and Netito's at school, and then the wind runs through the dad's trestles, Netito's trestles, and they do like the whole thing where, like, if I remember correctly, like in school, it's like a thing of like honor and like or something like that, where if you do really good in school, you get to like put up the flag, and like it's like a whole thing.
There, there is, there is. It's not really. I'm doing math here, and this is ridiculous. like 15 years this show has been on.
Yep.
5,475 days, and there's 1,800 episodes. That is getting close to almost. There was an episode up. Like, if we're just gonna split it in a third, let's say like every 3 days.
Jesus.
And it's easy to produce.
It's easy to
Easy to
produce.
produce. And you know what? It's this. If you're paying attention, studios, this is how you fucking do it.
That's
Yeah, they pray to the Virgin, the La Virgen de Guadalupe.
okay. Here, I have to say this in a way that doesn't make me sound like the whitest person possible. I'm not far off. If I step outside, I start on fire.
Again, you're talking to a coconut by comparison. So like,
this is something I always wanted to ask someone, but I've never had the right situation to ask it. And I assume it is this way because they did it in this movie. Every time I watch something with a portrayal of a Mexican American or a Spanish family, even when they're speaking to each other, is it quite often to just at random have a complete English conversation, throw in one sentence of Spanish and just keep going in English?
Spanglish.
It's just like, I didn't know that they would just at random do, like, again, I'm in the middle of Wisconsin. I don't know if you've noticed. It's pretty snowy up here.
I have heard conversations like this before.
Okay, all right.
There's someone at like where I work who is very bilingual, and they will just go back and forth.
Okay, got it.
Speaking English and Spanish.
Okay.
And plus, sometimes, admittingly, it's a way that you can get away with saying the most heinous shit possible.
That's why I figured, like, when it's with, again, with each other and other people are around, that made more sense to me, where you want to, like, whatever. But, like, I didn't know, like, in actual just personal one-on-one conversations if it happened that often.
Like, obviously, like, some things, are very, self-explanatory. Like, like, I think there are lots of points where Rudy was just like, ah, like, we could see cover your huevos, your huevos. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, obviously that, but like, chingon and like, cabron and pinche. Pinche, especially, as I understand it, again, coconut here. It's basically getting away with saying like fuck freely.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's the best thing about stuff like this, is that you could tell when the MPAA is really paying attention. Like when you watch Firefly and then you look at like the translations for like the Mandarin, it's like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very true. Okay. I just always wondered. Nice.
It basically, if you've seen like I know Mike understands this, like watching, like if you want to see what it's like in households like this, fuck this and West Side Story by Spielberg are kind of like, okay, this is kind of what it's like. Namely, especially, you know what I'm talking about, Mike, like the scene where like Bernardo and it's like talking with Maria,
Yeah. And as an aside, I do like how in West Side Story they don't subtitle the Spanish, because it's not really meant for us, it's meant for them.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, typically, like when it comes to stuff like that, admittingly, like knowing some of the language, they say immediately what they said in Spanish in English most of the time. So you're not really missing out on much. I did notice in this movie that they did subtitle it sometimes, but other times they didn't, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I think some of that is like context clues. You can kind of gauge what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like you don't need to like stand there with like a thesaurus to watch La Bamba or anything like that.
Yeah.
That people understand, like especially over here, movies like La Bamba and Selena, even Nacho Libre, they're pretty big touchstones here.
Nice. Cool.
So, final thoughts as we kind of wind things down.
See, in terms of the superhero movies I've seen this year, I wouldn't say it's like the best. I still think like overall quality, like Guardians Volume 3 is probably the best superhero movie I've seen. But in terms of like personal favorite, this one is so much more than I ever thought it would be. And it's a miracle, not only that it came out, but that it came out as good as it did. And I implore anybody out there, please, again, I'm trying not to scab or anything like that, but please, it's a good movie. And please, for the love of God, don't hinge it on just us to watch it. You want the change, go see it for yourself. The personality is enough to get past the messiness and formulaic bits of the film. It is a window, and I really don't say that lightly. It is really a window to this side of the country, to this side of the world. And I am very curious to see where it goes from here, but I'm definitely buying this. I already feel like a big shill. I sprang for this. They actually had the bug popcorn container. Like it was actually shaped like the ship, but they didn't have it.
Oh, dang it.
And I'm gonna see it multiple times in theaters. I'm gonna see if I can drag my parents to go watch it. My sister-in-law has watched it twice, I think, with me and another time. Though granted, that's also because she's absolutely hot for Hola Maridueña. So I mean,
I don't blame her.
I'll take any opportunity to embarrass you, Catherine. I'm sorry. It's not perfect, but that's what makes it perfect in my eyes. It's a very personal, very emphatic 10 from the heart.
Nice.
I feel you. Brock, your final thoughts?
Okay, so I kind of have what you did for that. Like, I feel Guardians is at the top. I had a, not because he's white, but because of his growing up in like acknowledging found families and stuff. I got closer with Billy. So like I have a slightly like more connective space, and that's why it brings it closer with me. I think at heart this is a better film than Shazam Fury of the Gods is. But and yeah, it's really good. And I have the feeling that you'll hear the people striking that you still should see the movies they worked on previous to this. Just don't understand and support us when we're doing this. We're not working any further. And I feel that James being the person James is, that this will get another shot, at least one more, once all of this ruckus is over and some goodwill has been restored, that he's not going to let this fall to the wayside. James is not stupid. He knows that this is something that can be good and can be hoisted up as something that needs to be appreciated. Like you said, a gateway to a side that we don't get represented that often, that like I'm learning worlds about just the conversation I've had here, that it's going to have a good chance. And it's a well-made movie that I am okay, from a logical person standpoint, am blown away that this is going to be on Max, not from a idiot executive standpoint that it was going to be on Max because they're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But this was really good. Like this movie is a masterclass in budget constraint and well usage, well representing things, using what the tools that you're made. Like OMEC is not a well-known thing. My nephew had no idea who OMEC is. He barely knew who Blue Beetle was, but he loved it by the time it was done. You can make big things out of small things as long as you treat them like a big thing to you who's making it. Yes. If it's presented well, it will be taken well. I repeat, Guardians of the Galaxy. None of you knew what that was. I didn't, and we didn't even get the original version of the Guardians. For all those people that are like, comics. It's really good. It's so well done, down to the music, down to the design. I was talking with Mike about this. I think this might be one of, at least in the top 5, if not top 3, best first cracks movie-wise at a costume ever.
Oh, yeah.
I am perfectly comfortable at least saying top 5.
Like, this is up there with Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man costume good with me. Like, because even I remember the first thing I saw of it was after you posted it in the group chat, was seeing just him walking around with the suit normally with no effects on it, and it looked amazing. All they basically do is add the helmet and lights.
Yep.
It's really good. We didn't even talk that about much of just how good the effects are, practical and CGI. It's really good.
To repeat the points that I made earlier, the secret to making a great comic book movie is to make a great movie, but one that does not need to sacrifice fealty to the source material or the authentic voice of the filmmaker. Like, sure, there are some minor changes, such as, locate the location and, tweaks to some characters. But overall, this movie gets everything about Blue Beetle to his core right. They have, they mastered his unconditional love for his family, the reluctant hero's journey, and the very concept of legacy regarding the mantle. All of that plus just really good visual effects, like excellent production design, an awesome soundtrack. This is, and I stand by this wholeheartedly, this is a superhero origin story as great as Batman Begins, as the first Iron Man, the first Shazam, and Miss Marvel. So, yeah, this was a fun podcast. I'm glad we got to do this. Before we head out of here, Josh, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Raging Against the Dying Light. And yes, I'm calling it Twitter, not X, because God, it's
Feels like a porn site when you log into it now, doesn't it?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mom, if you're watching. You can find me on there at JSH Lozano, just kind of occasionally popping up and ranting about horrifically cynical and upsettingly hubris-filled fan films about certain arachnid characters, also created by Steve Ditko. As well as also raging against the studio machine. Please just pay your fucking writers and actors. And I'm sorry, directors, that you basically got pigeonholed into a shitty deal. And you can find me on YouTube at JoshBoy64, where I actually uploaded for the first time in a long time on my birthday at the exact same time that I was going to be watching Blue Beetle, which is the first teaser trailer for my next short film, Ruleta.
Yes.
And I have some videos coming up at some point about the Writers Guild strikes and the impact that has had. Once the strikes are all taken care of, I will do a follow-up on Blue Beetle, and I'm hoping that before October comes around, I'm going to have my Alan Wake video done in time. Because, man, am I excited for Alan Wake 2.
Damn right. Absolutely.
And Brock, where can everyone find you?
You can find me everywhere on Twitch, YouTube, and the social media site formerly known as Twitter. You can, if any of you, speaking of October, thank you very much, Josh. If any of you are fans of the Marvel Insomniac Spider-Man games, I will be giving away at the midnight release a digital deluxe edition of the Spider-Man 2's game. All you need to be doing is subscribed, $5, or you can just do it off Amazon. It's pretty much free if you do it that way. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but I get it. Well, I should say I get about $1 something because Twitch is great with ratios. Anyway, if all you need to do is be subscribed and watching, and you get subscribed, you get a token, a little boop, 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 you enter it, drops your name into the machine, and I just hit go. About probably like 2 or 3 hours in, because I'll probably be streaming for like 6 to 7 hours, not gonna lie. It'll come to a ticker, it'll say the timer's over, I hit a button, and it'll puke out into the chat who won, and I will then send you the code. Simple as that. $5 to win something that's worth like 85 to 90, depending on if you would have bought it in person. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Stop on by if you're interested.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on various social media at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Capes. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.